But yeah, you were literally just talking about how
God damn it.
how Demi can't host.
Look at what Demi wrote. God damn it.
Yep. Just wants us to be over, man. Gonna go back into them Dotas.
Yep. We just had the Tarkov meme. Now we're getting into Dota. Oh boy.
And what's gonna be the next? I want to say flavor of the week. I mean, I guess Valorant is up there.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the next one. It only isn't just because of the limited beta keys. So
Yeah. I feel like Dota has a pretty spotting in the top right hand corner of the map, spotting in the top right hand corner of Eternal Empire ELE. It is gonna be called. That does in fact stand for Ever. You know when you think of a word and then your brain is like stuck on that word, but then you realize that it starts with an I instead of an E. Stands for Ever.
it's just like when you said impression.
Elongated. Ever elongated Lake Erie. Ever elongated Lake Erie because it's growing, man. Or no, actually, I think it's shrinking because global warming. Actually, it could grow as well. It could work both ways. In the top right corner of the map, starting in the top right corner of the map, he is the top player from Australia, all the way from Melbourne. The only two-time ESL Fueled by Dare champion, and the only representative of Oceania dressed up like Nia Automata. He is representing Legacy Esports, Probe.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Eternal Empire LE, we have the Indian Zerg representing Downfall Gaming, the 14-time GPO champion. It is Demi.
Cephas rapping in chat.
What? I just saw chat. God damn it. What? Get on it, Sheldon. Record a mixtape. StarCraft theme. You can do it. Oh, God.
You're like Bliss Nesso, mate. Like Bliss Nesso.
God damn it. Yeah. It's again, we didn't really get to mention it, but this tournament does have random seeding, so sometimes we get days like today where it's just a little bit unfortunate. You know, Probe faces Caesar in the first round, right into Demi. Like some of the best players are already going out, and we're not even in the semis.
But you know what? Hashtag storyline slight, as these two players, they are maybe not, they aren't really historical rivals, but lately, definitely towards the end of 2019 and throughout 2020, they do have a lot of back and forth going on between them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, no need to brag, but you know, it did kind of start with the show match at the end of 2019. Demi, he did kind of dominate that. That was like at the end of his reign.
Yeah. No, It's all good. Probe. I'll get into it later because there are more. Important stuff happening right now, namely that Dark Shrine.
Yeah.
Probe. It's pretty standard.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we haven't seen too much of that today, and you know, there are like plenty of openers that we've seen Probe pull out, like Stargate openers or even Adepts are kind of more popular nowadays. But yeah, going for instead a DT into supposedly an Archon drop coming out from Probe, and we'll see if Demi is able to catch on to this in time and prepare.
Yeah, it's I would imagine that we're gonna have a bit of a pause here as Demi is fixing his VPN. I would imagine.
Yeah, hopefully he did turn it on. For a little bit of a fun fact for the viewers at home is that basically every single player, Southeast Asian and
Yeah.
Australian,
Well,
they use VPNs depending on what server they play on.
I think it's more. Was it more the Vietnamese and the Indian? Well, when I say the Indian, it's pretty much just Demi. Well, like, oh yeah, the Indian players. You mean the one Indian player?
Uh,
But yeah, I
ref.
still, I still am not convinced that it is better, because in
I
my
mean,
experience, even if you VPN to the region, you get twice the amount of ping. But you know, it works for them, so you know.
yeah. I do know that Oreo uses it as well, and I think Chappie as well. Whenever they have to play on the Southeast Asian server, I remember there was a moment. I think it was Oreo versus Micah, or no, I think it was Oreo versus Demi, and they're both like, all right, hold on, we gotta change up our VPNs, gotta turn them off or turn them on. But yeah, this is something that we have to do here.
That indeed it is. Okay, not going to be risking any detection
Oh.
here. Probe is going to go straight into Archons. You're missing... okay, there we go. There we got it, Neeb. I mean, Probe.
Yeah, they're two completely different people. God damn it! Like, confuse them with Snoot, sure, I understand, but God, but we're not gonna get into this again. Not again.
What do you mean again?
It's like every week with you. God damn it.
Like, they look alike. They play similar. They play similar and they look alike. I don't get why this is confusing to you.
So we do have some nice juggling there by Probe, shaving off a couple of lings. Meanwhile, we do have a couple more gateways going down. Zealot legs on the way as well, which, does do pretty nicely against roaches. So
yeah, Probe
so
is looking to get a timing up.
Oh, who is it?
I'm frozen like Dare. I'm frozen like Dare iced coffee ice cream.
There's that sort of thing.
You can make it at home.
Yeah, make it at home. There's just so much you can do with Dare, so why not? But only if you're in the ANZ region, as it isn't sold outside of that. So apologies for Southeast Asian players. Maybe you can import it.
Exactly. Just ask Light.
Oh, now we know we're in a Demi game. Now we know. Look at what's being made.
That is Demi's signature. It's definitely something that I like to think Demi influenced a lot of the other Zerg players in the region to do, because for a while it seemed like in the C scene, Demi was the only player who really went into muta switches.
Yeah, I feel like obviously Miyamaka does it now, but I feel like him starting it was probably just Miyamaka. He just likes to do crazy things, whereas Demi, like, this is more his style, like, specifically.
Yeah, he knows every timing. He knows how to really get the most effectiveness out of it. And we'll see how well Probe can really defend against this. He does not know of Inspire, but he should have an idea. I mean, if he remembers that he's playing against Demi, he should know what to do. But for now, there are only 2 Archons, and that's not ideal.
Oh, you say that as
Right,
you say
I
that.
say that as, yeah. I say that as he gets a bunch more in.
Yeah, this push is looking really strong for Probe, and those Mulists aren't going to help too much because of the amount of Archons, so Demi could struggle with this since he invested so much into that Spire.
Indeed, he could. These roaches are doing a decent job of body blocking, but now he will have to pull away and let that base go. And this is looking very worrisome for Demi. He is now only on 3 bases, which you do not want to be versus Protoss. But here comes the Mutas, and where are the defenses, Sean?
Oh, there's nothing. The shield battery isn't even ready yet, so it does look like a couple of workers will go down, and which is quite nice. Demi needs to kind of alleviate that pressure, but it looks like Probe, he's pushing into the 3rd.
Yeah, he is, and we might just get another base race here, Seal. Seal that light.
What?
I think we're going into another base race here. Very good force fields coming out from Probe, but I think those numbers are just way too much for Probe to really deal with. Just look at the supply. It is essentially twice the number of army that Probe has, and quick little warp in will have quite a bit of buffer here with these Zealots. They are also +1 Zealots, so they hit very, very hard.
Oh, he can focus on the warp.
He's starting to lose.
He's gonna get it.
He is starting to lose his high-tech units here.
Yeah, Demi, he's pushed this back. You know, there just weren't enough sentries, there weren't enough force fields, and Demi is able to push through and bust through Probe's army, kills the War Prism as well. And Demi, look at the supply. He's looking so good in this game.
Demi is looking ripe for the counterattack, and he is going all the way here. Probe, does he have any force fields available? Does he have any sentries? I do not think so. Or even if he did. I mean, these viewers would make short work of them. But Demi is not going to be risking too much. Does not want to go up that ramp just yet. So he's going to be taking a bit of safer option and just try to pick Probe apart from multiple angles.
Yeah, that ramp to the right is so narrow. It's so difficult to push up into, but instead goes here to the left instead. There are Ravagers to bust through these force fields, and Demi, he's pushing through the army. And it looks like, is Demi gonna break him? Is he gonna do it?
I think he will. This is a lot of Zerg to deal with, Lighten. There are only 2 Immortals left, and one of them is even getting battled down. Not battled down, shot down. But defensive DTs!
Yeah.
Defensive DTs. DTs do in fact save the day here for Probe. He is... This is Probe's first rodeo. He is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. He knows just how to defend with whatever he has.
Exactly. If you notice in that last fight, Probe focused so much on killing that Overseer from Demi to make sure that those DTs could help him hold at home. But is it enough though? We have Demi coming in. He has rebuilt his Overseer, and now he's pushing through. There isn't too much here. 2 Archons. There are no Immortals left, but the shield batteries are finishing up. Will they be enough to keep the Archons alive?
Oh, they are rapidly depleting for Alpha Energy Light. But maybe it might just barely be enough here. Once again, Probe just being very annoying with this 1 DT, but not going to get too much done.
He's trying to do what he can with what he has.
Yeah, Demi, enough's enough at this point. Demi is really looking to end the game real soon. He is producing nothing but roaches and rabbits. Okay, getting his +2 range.
Yeah, he's making sure he secures his 4th as well. He's denying the 4th of Probe, as Probe is trying to like edge it out as well. He only has 1 Immortal with his army. He does have a lot of sentries, and pushing up either of these ramps, it is like difficult to do as a Zerg player, especially against a Protoss with force fields. But Demi's pushing in.
Indeed he is, and again, you know, positioning is great. Shield, force fields are great, but at the end of the day, raw numbers, that is what will really end the game there.
Yeah, but again, Probe, really nicely done. He is using that terrain to his advantage, and he's making it hard, as difficult as he can for Demi to push up and end it. But it looks like Demi's found an opening. He's pushing into the natural, and the army isn't here for Probe.
Not quite yet. He's starting to push in here, and this is not the position that Probe thought Demi was going to push into, but this is still a fairly narrow choke point. Probe can make the most use out of this with force fields, and there we have it, essentially cutting off a ton of roach supply there and slowly picking the army of Demi apart. But again, will it be enough? Just about barely. Demi is playing this so cautiously, so patiently.
He kind of has to, like Probe, he's trading more efficiently, especially with all of those sentries cutting up that army. Oh my god, this DT found a way into the main base and there's no Spore here.
How?
Oh my god.
Exactly.
Probe is slowly making his way back. It's like Probe, he's making all the right moves to get back. You know, he's getting a 4th base behind this. He's getting some worker damage done. He's not that far behind when it comes to worker count. 15 drones went down.
And they have a little bit of what is going on here with these drones.
yeah, they're just kind of freaking out a little bit.
It's an oversaturated base, that's why.
I'm just a little bit worried. I mean, Demi, he has finally thrown down some spines at his bases as well as a Spore to help with the defense, but now Probe, he's pushing out. He does only have 2 Immortals with this, but regardless, Demi, he's respecting this army maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe a few minutes ago you would have been right. He was restricting the army way too much, but now, as you said, Probe has gotten back in this game, and Probe has got a fairly beefy army. There's how many mortals? There's okay, only 2 immortals and 3 archons. Never mind.
Yeah, I feel like it does. Oh god. Oh, a bunch of mutas do go down to those archons, and he has to be careful. I do like what Demi is doing though, because Probe, he does have a decent army, but it's also quite small. So trying to split up against Mutalisk and Rotras at the same time, like this is kind of what Demi has to do. Like pulling the army out of position and hopefully like use that to his advantage, as we do see Demi out in the middle of the map with his roaches. There we go. We do have him moving towards the north as well, so he could try and catch those stalkers. See what he decides to do with his army.
Try being the key word there, yeah. Oh, does manage to get that observer. Nicely done by our Indian Zerg player. I'm not even convinced he was certain that there was an observer there, but
he knows. He's not wearing an eye patch, right? He's not cosplaying. He knows exactly where everything is.
It's accurate.
Meanwhile, he tries to get into natural again, but this time Probe, his army is in position. Oh, the mutas try to escape, and it looks like a couple did go down in the process, but do get out, and they might get the warp prison, but not before the Zealots get warped in.
You'd be right there, Light, but he will be able to clear this out eventually, only losing 6 drones, which not ideal, but if you're Demi right now, you kind of want that because he is maxed out and he just wants as much army supply as he can get.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so many Ravagers are going down. Oh my god, so many more! Oh,
is
Demi,
this the game-ending moment for Demi?
Probe,
hope not.
I think he definitely has a chance right now. It could go either way for both players. Probe, his army supply has gotten to the point where he can actually push and fight against what Demi has, especially since so many of his so much of his army supply is in Mutalisks.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch your force fields and the Guardian shield. Gonna have to. The sentries are gonna be the real game changer here for Probe, but he is pushing in and he is starting to fight this. Demi try to come into the flank, and it can actually work out here. Not all of the Archons are attacking the Mutalisks, and I can't even call it anymore, Light. I cannot even call it. I do not know who's winning and who's losing at this point.
I'm really concerned because, like, Demi, he has a lot of supply in those Mutalisks. I don't know if they're the right choice. He's making more and more Mutalisks, and sure, they're okay. There's only 1 Archon left, but even then, like, Stalkers can still trade relatively well against them. I don't know if this is the right army composition. I mean, it can still work, but more Archons are being morphed, and that's what I'm worried about.
Well, as the wise man did once say, like, you always gotta be thinking 1 step ahead, and neither players are really setting up their late game or their end game here. They are just focusing on their tier 2 units.
And the ground army from Demi just keeps falling, and he's
in that scenario, I have to favor Probe.
Yeah, like, he's making 2 more. He just keeps producing them, and I don't see it working. To be honest, like, he's just losing the ground fight, and what's left are Stalkers and Archons.
The only things that can really put up a fight against this many Mutalisks.
Yeah.
A couple of Zealots also being popped in, but GG is called, and Probe inches his way back to a victory that game.
He did. GG. And I feel so bad for Demi. He had that. There was a moment where Demi was almost maxed out and Probe had 87 supply.
Exactly.
Like, to be fair, I completely understand Demi having trouble pushing up the ramp into Probe's army, because that's the ideal scenario for Probe. I honestly don't think the Mutalisks were the correct answer. I kept looking at the supply for Demi, and it was higher. And I would look at what we saw, and the ground army was just so small, and he was just making so many Mutalisks, but they just weren't paying for themselves. They weren't doing enough, especially in these big fights, and that was kind of his downfall.
I tend to agree.
That's, I feel so bad for him because he was looking so good against Probe of all people, you know, like, GG.
That's definitely a theme today. I think, like with Probe at least, they could have his opponents could have won, but then they didn't.
Yeah, it's he was so close. And yeah, I mean, we're gonna head into game 2, and hopefully Demi he can take that loss and take it like in a good way and be like, look, like I definitely have what it takes to take down someone like Probe. Like there were just like a couple of decision making errors more than anything that happened there, but like as we saw, like he can definitely take a game off of Probe. He's done so before in these tournaments. But wow, like I honestly like I'm still trying to process the fact that Probe won that game.
I would not blame you there 1 second, Light. We're gonna go into game number 2, Nightshade LE, otherwise known as Belladonna. See you then. And speaking of Belladonnas, here we have it, like in the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning in the top left-hand corner of the map. Gonna be getting Zeph to hit Probe. Here it is. It is in the top left-hand corner of Nightshade, otherwise known as Belladonna. LE of course standing for lingering entrance. That's when you decide maybe we could get 2, and then you decide, oh no, only 1 is fine, and so it lingers for years. It is our Red Zerg, 14th consecutive GPO champion, as well as the greatest player from India. It is representing Downfall Gaming, Demi Shark.
And in the bottom right-hand corner of Nightshade LE, we have the Australian Protoss representing Legacy Esports, as well as the city of Melbourne. We have Probe. Faking a cannon rush.
Always nice to see.
Yeah, that's why Demi put those dots down as Probe. He did throw down the pylon in the natural of Demi. Demi, of course, he didn't fall for it. He was like, "Mate, what are you doing?" and then Probe canceled the pylon. All right, that was interesting.
Indeed, it was.
I think it was last game we were talking about how like we haven't really seen a player like Probe do something like a cannon rush, right? Like,
I mean, not a cannon rush, but we have seen things. We have definitely seen things come out of Probe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've seen the occasional proxy, like especially in the PvP, of course, right?
We've seen the mothership rush.
Yeah, I do recall that did happen. So
yeah,
you know,
Probe, he's definitely a bit of a cracked shield, or a corrupted shield, if you will. But he is still mostly an agent of shield.
Is that still a show? Is that still a thing?
I have no idea. I think it might have ended like 2 years ago.
Okay. Oh boy. Yeah, so we'll see how Demi approaches this game, how Probe approaches it. Again, like Probe, he's gonna be feeling so good. Like, I feel like he himself must have known, like, oh my god, like this is good, this is looking bad, and he's stuck in it, you know. Like, and props to Probe, right? Like he didn't give up despite it looking so bad for him. He was able to, like, you know, tighten up, you know, like stay defensive, be that shield that we kind of know him to be, and yeah, just kind of edge out that win in game number 1.
And now that's going to be put to the absolute test here, Light, as a stupid amount of lings are being rallied across the map for Demi.
He gets his round on the Stalker.
is going to get caught out. The Stalker is going to get caught out, and the Sentry is looking very vulnerable as well. But a good force field does manage to help with both problems there. Will Demi hold for much longer? It's starting to look dicey. The force field has ran out. The sentry has gone down, and this gateway is in the yellow.
Yeah, there is a secondary wall behind this, and there are more sentries being warped in, so there should be more force fields, but we'll see if it's enough to keep Demi at bay, as he did bust through the first wall.
Just enough here, Light.
Yeah, and the shield battery.
Enough.
The shield battery finishes up as well, so Demi, he can still bust through this. There is an immortal, which, to be fair, immortals aren't ideal against Lings, so they aren't really dealing that much damage, but Demi, he's still trying to push through. He's going to get the shield battery at least, and maybe even the gateway, but there's another pylon wall behind it.
Indeed there is. Once you crack the shield, there's another shield behind it.
Yeah. So far, 3 layers in. 3 layers deep, I should say. So far, Probe has been able to hold nice SimCity here, and Demi, he's throwing down a Roach Horn, and he's joining up behind this.
Yep, not all in anymore. He shot his shot, and now he realizes he missed. So it's just going to be transitioning into much more of a normal game here. And whilst potentially trying to keep Probe contained, but here comes the Warp Prism.
That's the problem, right? Especially with a Protoss that's contained, is, Warp Prism, and there's just so much potential there for harassment, for warping in more and more units, and there is an Immortal in there as well, so Probe, he will be applying pressure across the map to Demi. It does look like it did get spotted by an Overlord, so Demi knows about the Warp Prism, which is, it's so lucky that he was able to catch that, so he will be able to defend he should be able to defend his bases, accordingly.
Or at least he's gonna try. Here comes the Warp Prism into the main, and he's gonna be chased away by the Queen. But the Immortal is still gonna be on ground and try to put in some work.
Yeah,
clear the shapes off the link out a little bit. If you can keep everything alive, then that's not terrible.
Yeah, so far, solid defense by Demi. He's only lost a couple of Lings, which is, best case scenario when it comes to Warp Prism harass like that. So, yeah, so far, pretty good. We did have that Roach Horn already finished up. Roach Speed, as well as Evo Chambers, are going down as well. Lair. So, Demi, he is droning up and trying to transition into a more Roach-heavy style. Whether we'll see it work, I mean, he almost made it work in game number 1. Will he end up throwing down his Spire? Yeah. I mean, I still feel like if he had stuck with Roach Ravager, like it would have been good for him. But we'll see, as this Warp Prism, it's still here across the map.
Indeed, it is going to be trying to find some kind of value here, but gonna have to hot pick up on that Immortal. Actually saves every unit. Nicely done by our Australian Protoss player.
Oh, interesting. We have an infestation pit on the way.
Oh, around the same time as Templar Archives. This is, Demi is going straight into late game very, very soon.
Are we gonna see?
Demi, yep.
I was gonna ask the question: are we gonna see Swarm Hearse, or are we gonna see Infestors?
I think it's gonna be Infestors. Demi has not used Swarm Host since the nerf.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we haven't really seen too much at all. Although the Immortal's so close to going down, has to be so careful, as Demi is trying to secure his 4th base. Meanwhile, Probe already getting his 3rd up and running, and there it is, Swarm Hearse.
Alrighty then, that did not go the direction I was expecting.
Yeah, I was also leaning more towards like Infestors and maybe like trying to make them work, but instead we do have Swarmhearse on the way. No Nidus as far as I can tell, so they will be waddling around the map trying to deal damage, and this could work. They have been nerfed. The Swarmhearse kind of meta style isn't as good as it used to be, but we do see it pop up from time to time.
That in fact we do, like. That in fact we do, but it's definitely such a slow style of playing Zerg, particularly in ZVP. We'll have to wonder how much more patient Demi is going to play this out compared to last game.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to get an Overlord drop in position, but it gets spotted by the Warp Prism, so not ideal.
Insert
and
Spider-Man meme.
Yeah. That's something you don't see every day. Warp Prism chasing a Drop Lord. But yeah, so far more and more Swarmhosts on the way. I do believe we're gonna have 15 out for Demi. We'll see how he's able to use them, whether he tries to go for base damage or to try to trade against the army. Probe's army here isn't too beefy, to be honest.
No, it is not. But the real question is, can it fight what Demi has? Not this wave of Locusts, it can. But it can retreat away. Good use of the Warp Prism once again, just to hot pick up the Archons, Immortals. And now once these Locusts come off cooldown, that is the opening for Probe to get as many kills as he can before backing away once again.
Yeah, that was actually really...
Just going to go home and defend there.
Yeah, that was actually really well played by Probe, because he pushed out, he killed the 4th base. Sure, the Locust wave came out, but it didn't really kill anything at all. It killed like a couple of gateway, like a couple of zealots, and that's it. Like the Immortals were saved, all the Archons were saved as well. So he does come home.
But the Immortals are looking like they could get sniped here. The sentries are starting to come in and really make their use. Probe does not want to fight his army, not when there's a wave of Immortals up. But here come the force fields and blocks in so many of the ground army and locks out a lot of stock Locusts on top of that. Probe is looking for an angle, looking to really smash this army before counterattack himself, and this might be the opening that he was looking for here.
Yeah, I do love that Demi, he preemptively pulled his Swarmhost away, knowing that Probe was going to push out, so they are already across the map. Oh, nice biles there by Demi, able to pick off a couple of units, and the next Locust wave, there it is, it has finally come off cooldown.
Alright, and it's about to hit. Demi is in a lot of trouble if Probe fully commits to this, but at the same time, it is also on Probe to make sure that the micro, if he were to do that, would be perfect.
Yeah, he does have to be careful, especially because he did lose a lot of sentries in that previous engagement, so he won't have near as many force fields as before.
All right, Demi is giving us a bit of a throwback here, but Probe is looking to end this. This is such a dangerous place to morph Archons, but it looks like at least 2 of them will come up. Where's the micro from Probe? And it is looking pretty dang good.
Yeah, but so many Archons went down, and it looks like... Yeah, the Rich Ravager is going to push through. The Archons are a little bit exposed, and he's able to push Probe back.
That indeed he does. Demi is now over twice the army supply of Probe, and he is already maxed out. He made that Nidus, but honestly, I don't think he really needs it right now other than an escape route.
Yeah, it really came down to that last engagement. Those Locusts were able to kill so many Archons for Demi. So Demi, like, he just traded so well in that engagement. Probe, he's hurting, but will he be able to hold? There aren't too many sentries here again, so there won't be that many force fields. Maybe the Locusts a little bit premature, but they're all going for the Archons once again.
And they do manage to land. Probe microing his heart out here with all of these Immortals and all of these Archons, but it is only 1 Warp Prism. How much can he really do? How much micro can he really do there? But so far, once again, just pushing Demi away. It's much like game number 1. It seems like Probe is slowly inching his way back into an advantage.
Oh, he's going for the Swarmers.
Oh, that's actually a really good. That's actually a really good decision here from Probe, because there is what is the anti-air for Demi? Corrosive Biles, and even now he's losing them. Whether he is losing Ravagers or he's being forced to use them on the force fields, he just does not have any Biles.
Yeah, and Probe, he's going back with that War Prism to snipe the Swarmhost again as this push is happening. So the Swarmhosts are going down, but
do it. But these are a lot of Locusts, but they have run out. And now the Roach Ravager, they are on the back foot. Demi Probe is looking to chase this with the Chargelets, but now the Immortals, the Archons and Warp Prism, they are landing, and they are doing a lot of splash damage here.
Yeah, it's so difficult to play.
Just turn it all the way around.
Kind of. Like, it's difficult to play this style as a Zerg player because, like, your pushes come in waves, you know? It's like there's this moment where you have all these Locusts pushing out and your army is looking strong, and then it ends, and then there's this downtime where the Protoss player can counterattack, and as we say,
where you're waiting for the artillery to not be firing. But yeah, here it comes what could be the final push in. There is no Warp Prism here, so these units are actually in quite a bit of trouble. The final wave of locusts have come in. The biles do manage to land, and it looks like our players, Probe, is actually in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, he's gonna lose every single one of his immortals are gonna go down, and there it is.
Well played, Demi. Despite looking pretty shaky there, turns it around and will tie the series up sideways 1-1.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the worker loss count, but those two Archons were across the map. They had killed, what, 15, 16 drones as that was happening. It was like, oh, like Demi has to do something with this push. And luckily, he was decisive and he was able to push through and take out Probe.
Yeah, that's about how it went down. Yeah.
And yeah, hold on. I'll change.
Yeah, just waiting for that. I'm hesitant to say anything because I don't know when you're gonna switch. Hey, we're in Sydney.
Just like these games, we're going to the Aussie server.
Much like it.
All right.
All right, Debbie's calling for a quick little break, so I will remind everyone right now, stretch your roaches. Goddamn.
Yes, make sure you stretch, whether it's your roaches, your hands, your fingers, as you play this game, your arms, and yeah, as Yaku stretches, Demi is requesting a small break, which it's fair enough. He does need to have a little bit of a moment to kind of breathe, as you're tied up 1-1 against the best in ANZ.
2, 3, 4.
But yeah, it's such a shame as well because there's a world out there where Demi 2-0'd.
That is possible, but there's also a world out there where Seether 2-0'd and it's now in the it's now in the semifinals.
That's true. There's a world out there where Demi versus Probe never happened. It would have been Demi versus Seether, yes.
And Seether, there's a world out there where Seether's already in the finals.
It's the world out there where Seether actually plays StarCraft and not Tarkov. Rip. But here we go. We are getting the lobby set up for game number 3. We'll be on Everdream.
All right, Demi's back. That wasn't 5 minutes, you liar.
How you feeling? How are you feeling about this game, about this series?
Oh, it just takes me back to the original show match, where I will always remember till the end of StarCraft 2. I'll get into it after the intros. And here we are spawning in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner map of Everdream, LE. LE, of course, stand for long... Long E. That's when you make your E, you stretch it out so it goes E.
It's when you stretch it,
Exactly, like your roaches. In the bottom left corner map, starting in the bottom left corner map, we have the Red Zerg, 14 consecutive GPO champion, representing Downfall Gaming. He is the shark himself, all the way from land of India. Everybody give it up for Demi.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Everdream LE, we have the Australian Protoss representing Legacy Esports, Melbourne, as well as Near Automata? on his stream, question mark, as he is currently doing a 24-hour stream. It is Pro.
Lad, I gotta tell you, I will never forget until the end of StarCraft, the show match between Probe and Demi, and we were hyping it up. We were saying, yeah, Demi, Probe, he's well known as being one of the, as basically being the best ANZ player, and Demi, he's a 14-time consecutive GPO champion, and Probe just said, wait, what's GPO?
That was, I mean, I felt that coming. Yeah, it was quite an oof. It was also a bit of an oof of a series as well, as I don't believe Demi dropped a single map. It was it's such a shame because that was like that was just before Christmas break, and it was after that where Demi decided, that was the moment after we won that series where Demi's like, you know what, I've earned a break. I'm gonna go on like a month holiday and stop playing StarCraft and just chill. Demi, he hasn't been at that height since.
From that. He has not won a single GPO in 2020. That's come on, Demi. You gotta bump them numbers up. Gogo Joey's coming for you.
Yeah, not just Gogo Joey, right? Me and Micah as well. Like some competition.
What if you get an Archon, Gogo Joey and me and Micah versus Demi?
just to make it fair, make it even.
Exactly.
And again, we'll see. Like, this could be the beginning of Demi's return, right, to kind of dominating the online scene, at least for this region. As he was very well there at the end of 2019. I do know that he kind of got demotivated. It was when the ANZ champ qualifiers got pushed back, because that was kind of like what he was looking forward to and his reason for playing again. And then they got pushed back multiple months, and then he was kind of demotivated because of that. So it's cool to see him playing again, and I hope he does again find that drive to better himself.
As I nod my head in agreement, Probe goes for the agreement as well, known as the Stargate. And by agreement, I mean that's what he does like to go for in PvZ, or he usually likes to go for that in PvZ, but this series is actually the first time he's opening with Stargate. Yeah,
a little bit surprising that we don't see this until game number 3, until the ace match. Maybe like that goes to show that he wants to play a little bit more like standard, something he's more comfortable with. Because it's an ace match, right? Like maybe this is kind of his go-to. This is bread and butter, if you will. Especially because if I'm Probe, like I'm thinking, like Probe, he lost game number 2. He was in a really precarious situation in game number 1 as well. So he's not like dominant in this series. So he's, if I were him, I would be at least a little bit worried. Because of how Demi's looking today. Like he's looking pretty solid.
That indeed he is, and it just harkens back for, even though he lost that first game, it was also a little bit of a throw on Demi's part. So I would be worried if I was Probe.
Which is the bigger oof? Demi versus Probe game 1, or me and Micah versus Beastlurk?
Me and Micah versus Beastlurk. Really. That was the most chungus oof
that
I've ever seen.
I don't think anything's ever going to top that.
That was, what is he? I'm trying to think. There was one game that I think it was the equivalent. There was one other game that was played a long time ago in Heart of Swarm in Korea that was an equivalent. But speaking of equivalents, what is the equivalent to Stargate? Probe, not Probe's, Lings. To quote the great Rotterdam, when Demi's in the lobby, the Lings start running. And here we do see them. Probe does have enough of defenses up, it seems. Yep, Demi is not going to try to risk that.
It's a bit of a shame. Demi, he invested a lot in these Lings, and so far he hasn't quite managed to find any damage. The shield battery was already finished at the third base. There were already units like in place using that SimCity for defense as well. There were all these sentries at the natural. So far these Lings haven't found much, but
here they might find something.
Yeah,
and they find something that they did not want to discover here. Demi is what? Look at what's being built. Like that is a Hydra den.
Oh, okay. It does immediately get spotted, and yeah, this is kind of a little bit quirky. If I do say so myself.
It's a pretty standard build, but not for Demi.
Not
when
for Demi.
was the last time Demi went Hydras?
I haven't seen it. Never. This is the first time, actually.
Not even when Hydra Ling Bane was in the meta, I don't think Demi went Hydras.
Yeah, this is interesting. We haven't seen this too much out from Demi, if at all. So we will be seeing Hydralisk. This is more of a me and Micah play style, to be honest. So
he learned.
Yeah. It's possible.
He thought, oh, Mio Micah won? Well, I have to play like Mio Micah then. He hasn't proxy hatched yet, though, so.
That's true. That is true. He also hasn't made Ultralisks.
Well, Probe hasn't made Immortal Sire, so.
I'm never going to forget that, by the way. Mio Micah's going to be the player who makes Ultras against Protoss.
Against Immortals, not just Protoss, against Immortals. The most anti-Ultralisk unit you can get, other than maybe Liberators.
Never gonna let him live it down.
Shaking my head, SMH my head, light. SMH my head.
Yeah, meanwhile, so far this game has been pretty passive. They've both been, you know, Probe, he has his third secured. Demi is working on securing his fourth base, a pretty forward fourth base. Meanwhile, Probe, he's working on Storm. Oh, meanwhile, we do have this drop coming down, and unlike in game number 2, so far hasn't been spotted. Oh, did I speak too soon?
I don't think it has, but it has, but it hasn't. But it has, but it hasn't, but it has, but it hasn't.
It was so close. So many times it almost got spotted.
Oh, no, it might, no, it will. The Archon is going to be coming in, but drop the load, Demi. Connect with the chargelets. All right, made the best use of it in that situation.
It definitely could have gone down for free. Instead, he traded a little bit with Zealots, which is, you know, not ideal, but it's
I need that entire interaction animated, by the way, like.
Yeah, like that.
Phoenix looking for the.
Was juking for his life, just trying to make sure he doesn't get spotted.
Alright, well, so you're getting spotted. Here comes the CranKy. Very good stasis wards and really good storms coming out from Probe here, like. And I don't think Demi has enough of a buffer. He's trying to go for Templar. He does manage to snipe them. Yeah, this might be the beginning. Alright, the tides have definitely swung into Demi's favor. And now, as the stasis wears off, that's actually going to be worse for Probe than it will be for Demi. But here comes the flank with the storm.
Wow.
Demi is going back home, tail between his legs. He could have. I don't know. I can't imagine scenarios where Demi could have taken that, but yeah, he played that out brilliantly with the flank and with the defense.
Yeah, you can definitely argue that those stasis wards helped so much in that defense, making sure that, you know, not just Lings, but some Banelings as well were stasis and weren't taking part of the fight at all. And Probe, with those last 2 High Templar, was able to hold that push. Meanwhile, Demi, he's, you know, it's, even though his push was held, like, he's not in an awful position, as 5 workers did go down. I'm not sure if that was a Baneling run by or something.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah, like, so far it's been pretty good for both of these players, and ooh, this War Prism.
It's actually pretty even.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, this War Prism not gonna be doing too much damage here, but these Zealots absolutely will, bruising up that Hydralisk. And that's always a good old tip that I think gets overlooked. Chargelets are pretty good against Hydras.
Yeah, they definitely are. You definitely do need that Ling Bane to buffer for the Hydralisks in these scenarios. But this is why it's so difficult to make Hydra Ling Bane work, is that Storm just does so well against everything I just said. Like, all 3 of those units melt so hard against Storms. So as long as Probe has a decent High Templar count, it's going to be difficult for Demi to engage.
Well, speaking of difficult to engage, this is a lot of Banelings for Demi. But that's some really good storms, and even better storms coming out. Archons are going to be able to block so many of these Banelings, and once again, Demi has to retreat. He cannot fight this. You know what? Honestly, like, who needs gateways as a buffer when you can just buffer a storm?
Exactly. Storms are
Probe
all
nothing.
you need.
Exactly. Probe thinking a step ahead, getting that fleet beacon, and once that is done, Demi is not even close to getting his late game.
Yeah, it does look like Probe will be one step ahead. Oh, so many baitings are trying to rush in to hit those High Templar.
And you know what? Eventually, they should be able to hit, but the storms are way too good.
Yeah, but it does look like that was it for the High Templar. That's all they have.
Demi, target fire. Hello. And Demi is starting to target down a lot of these high-tech units, but again, Probe always has something in the back. Always has units in. Ready to flank, ready to pounce. They're just hiding, looking for opportunity.
The reinforcing High Templar just get Demi every time. Like, he wins the fight, but then there's like 2 more High Templar like over the mountain, and they come in and help out. And oh my god, there are just so many zealots now, and there isn't Ling Bane ready for this. I feel like Probe can't. There it is.
Good aim. Man, what a close series.
Yeah, GG. In the end, Probe does win that 2-1 and advances to the semis? Question mark? As I do open up the bracket and see where we are. I feel like we've kind of been engrossed.
Semifinals, I do believe. Yep.
Yeah, we've been engrossed in these series. Meanwhile, there's this whole other tournament, this whole lower half that's been happening before us.
Well, we actually have 2 semifinals available right now, actually, immediately. Everyone was waiting for us. In the first semifinals, we have Chappie, who beat Wriglinium and then Vivid to make it to the semis. And over in the lower bracket, we see, Justice Simon. He beat out Tuna, then he beat out Azure, and will now be facing Pez, who beat Mio Micah as well as Mighty Kiwi.